Yeah, we're
All right,
live.
welcome back to the podcast, GPS Guided Primal
Mhm.
Sutra podcast. Today we're talking about the sea, the ocean, yar. No, we're talking about situational energetic awareness, which is an acronym for C. So let's get started with today's episode. I think this is going to be an interesting one
Just
because I
just
already feel it in
to
my body.
just to call you out. Did you rehash the joke because we made it before the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's funny. So as I
Just
was
because
talk
I wanted to stay in the same rhythm of what we had
right,
before we pressed record. So that's why I was
right.
like
So sometimes we
double
have
telling you.
time on our hands and we we have instead of a quick 5 minute warm up, a full half an hour. Let's talk about our day and what bullshit we're dealing with on, in day-to-day life and how our character, mysticism, possibly hexing a motherfucker, and dealing with that. But before that even becomes a thing, you must be aware of the situation you find yourself in, and be it as a mystic, spiritualist, shaman, however you want to label yourself. It is good to be aware on the dynamics you're a part of, be it within the more human realms, the more greedy situation. Because let's face it, this is a physical body in a physical world, and we're going to have to deal with that. And also, thank you, Montes, for suggesting your topics. Because of what the Montes has suggested and the current situation that both me and myself find ourselves in, we are constantly reading the emotions of people, the energies of people, etc., be it both through the powers that we work with, the Primal Sutra, Nexus, family, friends, and associates, or our own powers. Right. Personally, I'm dealing with a situation on both at work and semi-privately, I guess, where I constantly need to be my most optimal self. But that requires swimming in an ocean where I need to monitor what happens above the ocean and below. So, it's constantly managing my own emotions, not by suppressing it, but by observing it first and allowing it to pass, monitoring my own thoughts, and then as an extra, because for mystics, literally monitoring the energetic field and playing the game. So because I'm dealing with, let's say, a person in a leadership position who is a bit of a dick because of let's say his
Let's
own
keep it
insecurity.
confidential though. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of his own shortcomings, be it at home or more personal, so to speak. He tends to project, and he's very likely bullying the individual consultants. So the plan is then, okay, let's not text the motherfucker because his immune system isn't strong at all. So that's off. But what can we do? Do we heal him? No, because fuck him, you're being a dick. So that's off of here. So what's the next thing? Sail the sea. Sail the situational energetic awareness.
Mhm.
Play the game, call him out as bullshit, you know, stick to the script,
Yeah.
and
It's
focus on what's
exactly
important
like
to you.
the this month we were talking about the Diamond Sutra. I think TXL brought it up, and that whole idea is just you stick to your truth, and that truth will cut through everything else. So
Yes,
I think that's a great thing.
there's no frequency within your life purer than you. The only way another can influence you is when you allow it. So, the moment you stick to your frames, the moment you stick to your truth, and you're very vocal about it, like it's the most natural thing in the world, let them challenge you. Fuck it. A lie hates the truth. That's just what it is. And if you can't get
Yeah.
justice, fuck the justice. Settle for peace.
Yeah, the body, it feels what the mind can't explain. So I see almost this SEA energy as like a kind of a ability to detect that invisible energy field before your rational mind catches up. So think of it like a spiritual radar system, right? And you're not just perceiving what's being said, obviously, you're also attuning to the intent behind what is being said. So this makes
Yes.
you a master of subtext as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, listen, man, it's hot outside. Watch your tone, or it's gonna get hot inside. And we don't want that.
Mm,
Often, often as a mystic, you want to kind of brag about your progress, about the, let's say, the shadow work that you've done, or the trials and tribulations that you've went through. Um, they can't see that. They
right.
can't see it because at the end of the day, you did that for yourself. It is your path, it is your journey. And just because an obstacle presents itself as more than merely a spiritual, nuisance, it presents itself as an actual human being. Let's face it, you're gonna have to deal with it. So, what do I recommend? See the obstacle as a blessing because if you lift enough weights, you're gonna get strong, but do it in a structured manner. And two, at some point in time, obstacles like these will mean nothing to you because you've been through this lesson before. And might I add that the universe, source, etc., will give you the same lessons, and for us, will give you the same lessons until you have learned it. What do you have to say about that, Smith?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me about how a lot of these different path workings mention this from all energy systems. As you're speaking, I was just thinking like about these, like the internal Tai Chi, for instance, right? That's
Mm,
they say they call it Tingjing, so it's almost like a listening energy to feel your opponent's intent before they
mm,
move. So that's the same thing. And also Wilhelm Reich said that tension and trauma stored as energy in the body, bioenergetics. So yeah,
yeah,
all of these different systems talk about this. Even military strat combat, right? Like elite
yeah,
soldiers are trained in combat intuition. So
yeah. I
it's
I saw a
everywhere.
video on that indeed. I also saw, I don't know if you saw the one on Instagram where an eagle attacked a deer or something, but
Mm,
it missed and the deer played dead and the eagle just flew off or something. I forget whether it was an eagle or a more feline being. But the point is,
yeah.
the moment the deer was getting up, it was shaking itself back into awareness or whatever. But
Mm,
if you look at it from a, spiritual energetic perspective, it's literally shaking off the trauma because let's face it, the deer went through a life and death situation, and by definition, that's traumatic. What confuses me in this is why why don't humans have that naturally? It's almost like you kind of it's either been trained out of us or we've
yeah, I think so.
deliberately been created as such to not be able to do it by ourselves, which immediately opens up this wormhole of conspiracies. But
Yeah.
with that being said, and the way this leads back to my personal story, I guess, is if that's the case, then and I'm, way ahead in this in my spiritual path or whatever, even though this is an annoying situation, this is an annoying person, so to speak, I can approach this from place of, okay, he's going through something and I can be empathetic towards him. I can be forgiving towards him. I
Yeah.
can be tolerant to a certain extent, I suppose. And every time he crosses a boundary, I'ma call that shit out. But what I'm
Yeah.
really trying to say is we are all part of Source. If you believe in a God fractal, we are all part of God's fractal as fractals ourselves. And just because I don't like my neighbor doesn't mean we're not part of the same source. I
Right.
might have to move. That's all what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's honestly about not becoming a sponge or a target, right? Like if you can
Yes, you
walk
said
into
that
any
before.
room and scan the environment and understand your awareness is like your spiritual immune system, because once you're aware, you like, let's say you're feeling energy
Hmm.
already, but you're being gaslit by a culture that tells you just ignore that. That's just gut
Mm.
feelings. You don't have to listen to that. So we're
Yes.
kind of conditioned out of it. So
Mm.
here's a few signs that I can give people that will definitely let them know if they have this. So if you're being influenced by invisible forces, then you will notice that your energy shrinks. So
Mm.
this is a very quick thing that people can check. Sudden tightness in your chest, thoughts speeding up, feeling foggy or drained, or fight, flight, or freeze without a clear cause for it. Time feels too slow or erratic or jumping timelines. And when people's words don't match their energetic vibe, so you get this like
Hmm.
kind of false signal
Hmm.
from them.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
that's those are signs of like incoherent energy, and then coherent energy would be the exact opposite: relaxed, alert, spacious, timeless,
Hmm.
synchronicity increase, stuff like this. So that's just a quick check for people who are just starting this work. Know what low vibration feels like and know what high vibration feels like. I say feels like and not thinks, right? You can't think your
Yeah.
way into a positive emotion. You have to feel through it. So, yeah.
That's often
Higher,
true. I
yeah.
mean, remember when I was doing that 90-day gratitude challenge with the ocean, etc. Not feeling too much, of course. I had to I noticed that I couldn't think myself into gratitude. I couldn't like picture grateful moments.
Yeah,
But what I could do was, how does gratitude feel? Ah,
exactly.
where do I feel gratitude? Okay. Now can I spread that gratitude around my body? Okay, what if my whole body felt like gratitude? Okay. What if
A
every
force
step
field,
I
yeah, it
took,
expands.
exactly.
Yeah.
What if every step I took and have taken towards from my car towards the beach is nothing but gratitude? What if with every step that I have taken, I leave a little bit of gratitude behind, let the seeds of gratitude sprout, etc., etc., etc.
That's great.
And what if you
And you
take
create a
that?
grateful flow state, technically. That's what you're
Exactly,
doing. You're priming yourself for that. Yeah.
exactly. And combine that with the situational energetic awareness is if I feel off about a situation and 5 minutes, 15 minutes are going by, I'm starting to lose focus, I will remove myself from that situation. Or someone's gonna get punched in the face. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know, Ryan.
Is I'm gonna
We were
cuss
talking about
someone
this earlier too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I need to choose my words a little bit carefully here.
But I think
Uh,
like both of us nowadays are becoming less people pleasers, and I think that's actually strengthened our spiritual immune system, because people pleasing weakens your center chakra, your solar plexus, and so
mm.
your real strength comes in not being likable, actually, but to be energetically
Well,
congruent to who you
well,
actually are.
imagine if let's say Sumit, you have a company.
Right.
Let's say we're talking about a hospital, perchance, like the Sumit, the charity. Sorry,
Clinic,
that
yeah.
doesn't make the charity hospital, whatever. We're trying to make the charity corporation or something. That's a good one. That
Chatterjee
makes sense.
Corp. Yeah.
The charity
Yeah.
corp, and you happen to have a hospital or whatever company you will label, and you
Yeah.
hire me to do an analysis of the company where you're leaking funds, etc., and blah blah blah. What you're expecting of me is a direct answer to this is your company, these are your processes, here's where you're leaking money. These are the people
Mm,
responsible for such teams. What do you want to do? Right? I'm just gonna give you a picture. Let's make this easy for you to choose. All right? That's
mm,
not what I do. But you also need the kind of person that will say, hey, you've hired me to fire people. I'm not here to make friends. This is your
right.
performance. You've had many warnings. Here's your severance pay. Goodbye. Right?
Mm, yeah.
And with it being said, that's kind of how I set my boundaries. If I am the owner of my life, and my life is my business, thus me being a business owner, I decide who's in my team. If I need to time and time again set boundaries with a motherfucker or fatherfucker, whatever, this is gonna get exhausting. All that energy wasted for what? You might as well be siphoning of energy off of me. Fuck off. I'm gonna cord cut you and say goodbye. I don't have time for this. It's the same thing as you being on a hospital bed and they're supplying you with wrong blood, possibly even contaminated blood. That's a bad move, man. So from an
Yeah.
energetic perspective, imagine membranes. Rubbing with the wrong membranes is a bad idea.
Mm. I was asking Sour Osmosis, like if
Yeah.
fire has an equivalent to osmosis, like that whole process. And he called it something like
Hmm.
what did he say? Well, he used the word firewall because that kind of is a similar idea, I guess, because but
Hmm.
then the flame needs to stack. So it's almost like a flame stacking or like a torching of potential into
Hmm.
another
This is like
a
my
flame.
biology class taking over Sumit. So you have two
Yeah,
sticks or two lighters. One is gas, one one you light on and both get lit. That's the simplest version. But if you have,
right.
and it's been a while since I had a proper biology class, but if you have two membranes, right, and one has more water or too much water, it might break. But if the one next to it has an open channel with it, it will take the water and then cause imbalance, etc. Right? As you
Yeah.
per my knowledge. So between these membranes, cells can go in and out. And then when viruses come, some viruses get stopped, the smart ones get through. And it's up to the immune system to become aware of this and later recognize these things, and then set protocols and systems to find these fuckers and say it with me, kill them. Now, of course, applying this to, the human life, um, don't be an idiot. Don't go out there punching people or worse. But set your boundaries, call people out. If you don't want to listen, remove yourself from the situation. The whole idea of setting a boundary is it has no further consequence on what you do or not. It's just, hey, if you're gonna do this,
Yeah.
I'm a bounce. Not, I'm
Yeah,
gonna do this petty shit.
many people think that energy is like a technique or something, or like a method, but it's just presence. I mean, the masters don't
Yes.
win by doing more. They win because they carry the whole emotion, body, intention as one field, therefore affecting people in their field. So you lose power the moment you externalize, right? So thinking someone or something out there controls your happiness, your safety, is the real spiritual defeat because you're not igniting from within in terms of your fire, right? So
Mm,
yeah, your flaws are often your power disguised, I would say. At least I heard this from Nixa quite recently.
do
And
tell. I like that one. Tell me more.
like, let's say your height was once seen as a burden. What if it became your energetic advantage,
Hey,
what
look
if
at
you
me, man.
can like right. Well, what if you're hiding it is like actually might be your weapon, right? Concealment.
Mm,
So yeah, never like always understand your flaws as your power disguised. Um, that's a good way to look at it because energetic sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's actually your advantage, but only if you own it, right? If
mm.
you let it dominate you emotionally, then it becomes your downfall. And yeah, we've all been dealt different karmic cards. You know, your task is not to wish for better cards, but to master the cards that you already have. So, spiritual martial arts, spiritual Aikido, as Ryan was explaining earlier, just his ability to remain centered, understand his baseline, which too much or too little, and
Mm.
knowing where he stands, right? Knowing your faculties, your abilities, coming back to what you know. I think that's really essential for this because if your energy is scattered, your life would be scattered.
So, coming back to what you know is a very important move. Um, Opponents that doubt their moves, their or whatever, are easier to manipulate, thus easier to defeat. During, well, not just today, but many situations where my frame was tested, the only times that I won was when I fell back to what I believe was my truth, my absolute truth. And what I believe, in the most simplest terms, is focusing on doing the right thing and what's right for me. If there's a job at hand, that's the only thing that matters. If there's a mission, that's the only thing I care about. Hmm. And
Mm,
those that get in the way, I'm ignore you. You're because you're in the fucking way. And if I have to escalate, I'll escalate and let's someone with authority handle this so I can do my job.
we
But
have people in the
yes,
live chat as well. Ghostface Chris, what's up? We have
let me check you
Ellie,
too.
hey, it's
Hey, Ellie.
Samba. Awesome.
Yeah, what's up, Samba? Bum, bum, bum,
All
bum.
right, cool. So, the purpose of life is not kind of materialistic success for us. It's also the
Okay.
soul evolution. Of course, that's important and it's an important factor, but your ego can't measure that.
Mm-hmm.
It only knows scarcity, fear, and status. So, true power is when being overrides our need to perform. And I think that's not a skill that can be easily transferred or taught. I know we go to a lot of spiritual masters, gurus, people who
Yes.
we think will help us with this, someone who just uses words like prana or shakti, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not really understanding how it uplifts their field. Like, what are they really getting themselves into with
Mm-hmm.
energy training, right? So, can
Yeah,
we
it is
make it
hard to
very clear
explain.
for people?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's the same thing as if you want to learn how to swim, you're gonna have to jump in the pool.
Right.
You're gonna have to learn how you swim. We can only give you like a blueprint, like, hey, here's a blueprint. Let's figure this shit out together. And
Right, because we don't
that's
want to repeat the same stuff on other podcasts, Meditate, do breath work, energy hygiene, do your shadow work. We know this stuff, but it's
you all
also
know this
like
stuff.
understanding, yeah, it's
If
like
you
you are
like,
a
we don't have to
field.
tell you. You guys
Like
already know this or should know
exactly.
this. Right.
Yeah.
Well
So
said
it's
for
like
us. The true mastery comes from applying, leading by field. Yeah, sure.
yeah, which
I
is
can
a
see that.
courage consciousness. So that's above courage in David R. Hawkins scale, right? So is
Hmm.
actually energy giving. Like it brings you more energy and
Hmm.
power instead of force. Force
Hmm.
can get the job done, but it's not sustainable. That's why we don't go lower consciousness. We go higher consciousness
Hmm.
so that we can have more expansive energy and greater output and, more peace,
Hmm.
more magnetism. Yeah.
Mm. One of my
Leading by
little
field. Yeah.
so one of the mini games that I like to play, and this has been inspired by um, my sport grappling, is The mini game that I play is finding the pockets of high frequency that I can find and connect with, and just keeping my high vibration consistent over the whole day. And whenever something happens that lowers it, it is my job to get the energy back up. Is it easy? No, it's not. But so what?
Mm. Yeah. Okay. And I think also like states are frequencies, they're not emotions. So when you think of desire, it's like a kind of a, I think of it like a coiled fire, or I see
Hmm.
fear as almost like a leaking field that's very scattered. So I will actually take an emotion and understand the state behind it in a sense. Like your will is like a focused laser beam, right? So make these into metaphors for your life, these different emotions and these different fragments of feeling, because then you can actually make sense of it. Because
Mm.
energy, well, you've seen it in every single fucking spiritual community post. Energy flows where attention goes, but the energy also flows where ritual goes, right? So every
Hmm.
day you've got to have this kind of ability to anchor something into your world. You give yourself a declaration or some kind of a right. You let something go and you charge. And if you do these four things, I guarantee you, you won't fall into these different loops and structures because without
Hmm.
ritual, your energy is at the mercy of the collective noise.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
ritual is how you structure God's time. So super consciousness. And once you understand how to do this, you don't need people to clarify or validate you anymore. You just need your, I mean, people just respond to the charge behind your field.
Hmm.
And that takes a while, it takes training, but
It does. It
if you want
does.
respect, you got to anchor it in the gut. If you want love, you got to be coherent, not hungry for
Interesting.
love. So, yeah.
Interesting. So everybody does this different. Uncle Makara and I couldn't be more different in the way that we approach this, but at the end of the day, it's still the same blueprint. I prefer to be a little bit more violent in my actions, a little bit more in people's faces, because
Yeah.
my mom didn't wish, my mom didn't raise a bitch, if you wanna say it like that. Whereas Sumit Gamakara likes to be a little bit more tolerant, and
Patience, yeah.
he's often the guy that prevents me, justifiably so, from hurting people because of my own, how would you say this, hubris? Is that the right word to use in my context, Sumit?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
hubris is a good word. Yeah.
good. But then again, YOLO. We're nearing the final 2 minutes of this quick 20-minute podcast.
Mm.
This was inspired by definitely Jewel July and the quizzes we did, etc. Um, thank you, Sumit, for making that. And what I will say as, a participant of July, no, Jewel July is because of your choices, you will be tested. Because you must be tested to learn the lesson. Have you learned the lesson, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. And that's what's happening to me. Because I'm dealing with a shit situation, and I happen to have the spiritual backing. I know how to stay in character, stay in frame by being my most authentic self. I'm gonna put a lot of people in checkmate and somehow get off scot-free. Anything from you, Sumit?
I think just, go and do the things you know that you should do,
Good
Go
one.
drink
Good
water,
one.
go charge your aura, go,
They have memes like did you have some water today, Pookie? I'm like fucking I need to save those constantly and send it to all my friends. Like fucking
Yeah.
drink some agua, drink some pani.
Right. And
Did
this
you
is
drink
what
what?
every like facilitator, counselor, everybody you go to, they will give you some of this. They'll say, do some exercise, breathe deeper,
It's the
you know what I
same
mean?
thing. It's the
It's the
same
same
thing
thing. Yeah.
rehashed. Speaking of
Yeah.
rehashing, this year we're rehashing people paid here that well said for us. People are paying for babysitters. This is the feeling I'm getting. Anyway, one, I'm not here to babysit anybody. Two, we are rehashing the annual events. We are gonna do this in December. We decided to move it because Sumit has other things to do and I need to focus on other stuff as well. We will be continuing the process as usual. Anything else we will say? It's gonna be our second time doing Christmas in a hot place. So this might be a pattern that I'm not sure how to feel about this, Sumit, but apparently it snows in Sedona, so we might not be as lucky as we think we are.
Mm. All right. All right. We'll see. We'll see how it
We
goes.
might have to put some Christmas ornament on some cacti, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
go be a solar flare in a world full of zombies, man.
Well
All
said,
we
well said,
ask.
well said, well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Be authentically you. Let's end it with that. Be authentically
Word up.
you. Primal Sutra 1507 2025. This has been GPS. My name is Ryan G with my co-host Michelle G, aka Uncle Makara. Good morning, good evening, and good night.